Mm. It's Tuesday. This is tea. You guys know what day it is. It is Anxiety Tuesdays. So it's been a little while since I did the last Anxiety Tuesdays video, and honestly, I've been running around like a headless chicken for the last month and a bit. Um, and inevitably, my mental health has suffered the consequences. So, pretty much, I had a stern word to myself last night before I went to sleep. And I was like, you need to make some time to, do the self-care things. Um, and, self-care is something that like everyone should be doing. For those of us with anxiety, panic disorder, agoraphobia, toilet anxiety, for those of us with that fun cocktail of diagnoses, uh, self care is pretty pivotal. It's the difference between, being on your hands and knees crying at work and being able to actually function through the workday. So, yeah, I feel kind of stupid that I had let my self care slide, but I thought, what a good time to make a video talking about self care and what self care can look like when it comes to anxiety, because we talk about it like it's all bubble baths and fluffy robes and face masks, and sometimes self-care is that, but sometimes self-care can also be like having a hard conversation about how you're feeling, or um you know like dragging your bum out of bed in the morning to go for a run or a walk, or just to get yourself out into the fresh air, which you really really don't want to do, as was the case with me this morning. Yeah, like self-care isn't always pretty. Self-care can like often be things that you don't want to do and you have been avoiding doing, but you know that you need to do to keep yourself in balance. So it's basically self-care. I think has many like other names, and there's many like definitions of self-care, but for me what it basically means is the things that you need to do to keep yourself in balance, to keep your mind in balance, to keep your body in balance, to keep your heart in balance, just to keep you feeling like you are level and that you can kind of like have a level of resilience and handle whatever comes your way. I need to take a breath. I got a bit overexcited talking about that. We're drinking a decaf tea as well today, just in case you wanted to know. Um, an English breakfast decaf, which is pretty much the only tea I drink besides peppermint and licorice. I started out by setting my alarm early, and I will preface this by saying I would love to be one of those people who wakes up in the morning early and, has their morning routine, but I'm just not. Like, I did have a morning routine in place last year during lockdown, but this year it's been all over the place. Like, to be honest, I love my sleep. I am a very cranky bear if someone wakes me up in the morning too early, and I struggle to get out of bed in the morning. So sometimes my alarm goes off like 18 times before I actually get up. Sometimes I leave it to the very last minute because I think when you have like bad anxiety, sometimes sleep is quite a reprieve, and it can feel so much nicer to just stay in bed because you feel like bed is safe and bed is nice and warm and cozy, and when you once you get up, it's like fuck, like the the day starts, and the like trying to be a part of the world. That sounded really depressing, but yeah. So I like sleep, and I just kind of said to myself, you need to get up early tomorrow morning so that you can go and do some exercise before work. I don't care what else you do tomorrow, just so long as that's what you do. Like, just please get up early and go for a walk or a run, preferably in nature and not at the gym, but we'll take whatever we can get. So I set my alarm for 6 and 6:02 and 6:07 and 6:10 and 6:12. Um, and I woke up at about 6:10, and yeah, I'll just cut to the foot.
Yesterday I had a really shit day with my anxiety. just a blip, I guess. I don't know. I had that thing again at work where I felt like I was going crazy and I didn't know if things were real or not. Like I went to the bathroom and I was sitting in the bathroom cubicle and I was like, am I in the bathroom cubicle right now or am I like still in the like store? Am I still at the counter? Am I peeing on the floor at the counter right now or am I in the bathroom? Like there was just a lot happening in my brain. Anyway, I'm going to try taking care of myself today because for this last couple of months, I not only like parent my daughter, but I've been writing, I've been working 2 jobs, I've been doing everything I can to sort of like stay afloat, but I haven't. I realized I don't think I've done yoga once this year, and I haven't been for a run, at least in a couple of weeks. I haven't really been out like in nature a lot, just on my own. I haven't really meditated in a while. Yeah, I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm too busy. I'm too busy doing all this other stuff. But maybe being too busy for all that is not conducive to my particular mental health. Maybe my particular mental health needs to have those practices in place. So anyway, long-winded way of saying this morning I'm going to get up and go for a run before work, which to be honest I really don't want to do because it's cold as shit outside and it's so warm in bed and I really just want to go back to sleep. I always have that thing where it's like, do I go back to sleep? Like, do I give my body what it wants right now and like soothe myself right now and go back to sleep, which is what every part of me is screaming for me to do? Or do I get up and go for a run, which I know ultimately my body will enjoy, but I won't enjoy doing now? You feel me? It's like, do I gift my body now or do I gift it later? I don't know. Excuse the noise of these guys crying because I'm in my running stuff, but look at this. What a sunrise, boys. What do you reckon? Should we go out in it? Who wants to go for a run? Anyone? Anyone? Whoa! Okay. After I'd come back from my run and I had fed the dogs and bathed the dogs and put the washing on and done the morning things like unstack the dishwasher and all the rest, I got out my yoga mat and I did some stretches. I have just been doing like some intuitive movement, whatever I kind of feel like doing, really. I guess it is quite yoga based, but it's pretty much just me sort of moving my body around in a way that feels good, a way that stretches me out, a way that makes me feel like I'm connected to myself. Yeah. And then after that, I did meditate for, I think, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes or so. It wasn't very long, but it was nice. And then I did have to get ready for work and go to work. So that was pretty much where my self care morning ended. I do want to talk about some of the other things that I do to focus on self care, which I will be sort of, it's always a dog barking, which I will be kind of putting into the rest of my week. So one of the main ones that I really focus on trying to do when I'm feeling overwhelmed is increasing my water intake. And I know this is so basic entry level self care, but I am somebody who doesn't drink enough water, kind of because it ties into the toilet anxiety thing. Like, I don't like the feeling of needing to pee all the time, it stresses me out a bit. So I don't drink enough water, bottom line. And so I've been really making a conscious effort to drink more water, because I just kind of felt like I needed to like cleanse, you know, like I don't even like that word, but I just needed to like hydrate. I guess it's one of those basic things, but it's so basic that we just forget about it. We forget how much our body actually does need to be hydrated, and how much hydration can help with not just physical health but mental health. So that's one of the main ones. Is I've been keeping my big water bottle refilled and keeping it on my desk at work, just to remind myself that it's there, and drinking from it throughout the day. The other thing that I have been doing and will be doing a little bit more of is focusing more on creative writing. Um, Obviously, I've been focusing on writing for a purpose lately, trying to write my book proposal and, all of that kind of stuff. But lately, instead, now that that's like done and I can just go back to sort of the creative side, if you've ever heard of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, it's a really good like creativity kind of Bible. But she talks about writing morning pages, which is basically you write 3 pages first thing when you wake up, stream of consciousness. Don't read it, don't edit it, don't think about it, just write. My morning pages are illegible scroll. Like, I couldn't even read them back if I wanted to, because my morning writing is that bad. But I haven't been focusing so much on the morning pages because, like I said, my mornings have been a bit all over the place. But what I have been doing is, before I get to work, a little bit early. I have my coffee or my hot chocolate, whatever I'm feeling like having that day, and I will sit down and I will start writing in my journal. And sometimes I will write, like, I'll have something in mind that I want to write about, but I always find that it turns into something else. And it's a real reminder to me that my consciousness has something that it wants to say, and I can try and ignore it all I want by filling my mind with all these really irrelevant things. Like, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to. But really, my consciousness wants me to pay attention to something else. And it's just going to keep like making me feel overwhelmed until I actually pay attention to whatever that thing is. So, spending some time writing, I think, is a really good, helpful way to practice some self care. Because, like I said, there can be so much in our heads, and we can become so overwhelmed and like, especially with anxiety, like, you can feel so stressed about everything all at once, and you don't even know exactly what you're stressed about. You just know that you are worried and concerned about all the things. And so when you give yourself a chance to write, it takes those thoughts out of your brain and onto paper, and it gives you some space from them. It gives you some distance. The other self-care thing that I want to talk about, we did take a social media break. I think it was like 4 days, I think. I deleted Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, can't even remember the other ones. I deleted the social medias from my phone. And it was really, really nice, I have to tell you. Nothing against social media. I like it. I abuse it as much as the next person, but God, it was nice to have my head up
for a little while. Especially like on my breaks at work, like I would just read a book the whole time, or like just like sitting in. I was at a doctor's appointment 2 days ago, and I was sitting in the waiting room, and every single person in there had their head down, looking at their phones, which is fine because that's usually me as well. But it was nice to have my head up and to just feel like I just had that moment to myself, because we forget that we are filling every second of our day pretty much with information besides the time we're sleeping. If we're not talking to someone or doing something, we're looking at our phone and we're taking in so much. And for someone prone to anxiety and panic, I think my brain really benefits from that, just nothingness, you know? Just those moments of just me sitting there and breathing and like just being still. And again, that's something that sounds really basic and should, come quite naturally to us, I guess. Like, should be kind of like a no brainer, but it just isn't. And honestly, as soon as I re downloaded social media, I've become that person stuck to my phone again. And I see myself doing it, and I'm like, like you spent so much time on your phone today, but it just like I don't know if I can remove myself from it completely, because that is a big part of the way I connect with people, and connect with people on the other side of the world who have anxiety and agoraphobia as well. But yeah, it just taking those couple of days, especially when you are feeling at your peak of overwhelm, even if you just delete one of them, even if you just delete Instagram, or you just delete Facebook, you know which one it is that makes you feel shitty. um, just delete that for a couple of days and just give yourself that space to just be, without having to be in your phone. The last self-care thing that I want to talk about is connecting and talking, which is funny since I just spoke about disconnecting. But having real conversations with people, this is something that I do a lot of this on YouTube. I have a lot of real conversations about how I'm really feeling. Um, but hello, Charles. Hello, come on. Up. Good boy. But I guess, like, when it comes to work, and especially when I'm busy and I'm like, that two different jobs, and talking to lots of people, I tend to stop having real conversations, and I tend to just have surface conversations. Um, and also, I don't see my partner a lot. Like, we're kind of just like ships crossing in the ocean, or whatever the saying is. I don't see my family as much. My daughter is in after school care, and like get her home and give her dinner and put her to bed. And it's just like I don't have that time to really connect with people. So I've really been thinking about ways that I can better feel that human connection. And one of the really, I keep talking about all the basics in this, but I think the basics are important when you are overwhelmed. One of the basic things that you can do to kind of self care is to physically touch another human being. And a really like nice way of doing it, besides hugging, is to put your hand on someone else's chest and have them put their hand on your chest. Um, and you don't have to look each other in the eye if you don't want to, it does help. But just to kind of feel that person in front of you, and, them feel you. This, just having a moment to just connect to another human being physically, to feel someone else's heartbeat, to feel the warmth of someone else. Yeah. Anthony gave me a hug the other day after I was panicking. I actually wrote about it in my Instagram post and my blog. He gave me this hug, and I like melted into it because I so badly needed it. And it's not that we don't hug and things like that, but it just like I just I needed to be held by another human being. And I usually, if someone hugs me, I'm like either thinking about someone else. So, oh my god, not thinking about someone else, thinking about something else. Christ. I'm either thinking about something else, or I'm like, it's kind of like that thing where someone says to you, like, you know, oh, I really like your outfit, and you're like really quick to deflect, you know, like, oh, I like your whatever. I'm always really uncomfortable when someone compliments me, and I always feel the need to like immediately remove the compliment, which sounds strange, but yeah, like I just immediately deflect. And it can be the same when I get physical affection, like when someone hugs me, it's like a quick thing, and it's like, okay, now go back to the conversation. And I don't know, I guess I need to unravel that a bit more. Talking about it made me think that's fucking strange. um but yeah, I allowed myself in that second to actually receive the hug and to really be in the hug. This anxiety tea Tuesdays took a turn. Um, but yeah, I just let myself be held, and it was so nice and it was so soothing. It was kind of like I let someone else hold me the way that I try and hold my daughter when she's upset, you know? Really try and like just envelope her in love. And we don't often let ourselves receive that from other people, especially when we are overwhelmed, which is when we need it the most. But because we've got so much going on, it's like we can't actually, you know, realize that there's a connection there available to us. Um, so, yeah, I think my goal for the next couple of days is to really just focus on that connection and nourish that connection. I feel like there were other self care things that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what they were. So, if you guys want to leave your favorite self care practices below, feel free. Obviously, I still am a keen fan of the bubble bath and the fluffy robe and, you know, like going to bed with a bowl of popcorn and putting on a Netflix movie, that kind of self care. But I think it's really important as well that we talk about the other self care, the self care where it, you know, it's kind of like emergency practices in place to really nurture your mental health. But yeah, I hope you're all doing super well. Happy Anxiety Tuesdays, and I hope it's not been a super anxious one.